righty. Patrick, you want to just reboot for us and let us know what's going on?
We can do that. So I think, did we conclude public comments?
No,
So
we
we're
did
back
not.
on
No,
our-
we did not, but Commissioner Powell is here, so.
And for the board's benefit, the amendment, you've got a comp plan amendment in front of you from AGR to Commerce, and then in your summary, too, it identifies that base level of uses and square footages and things like that. And I know we've been drawn to talking about a couple of the smaller items, I should say smaller by way of square footage, but there are a number of items in there. So as you consider any questions, if you had any other questions from staff about specifics within it, we're available to answer those and address them for you. So with that, we might want to return to public comment, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, I'll read 4 names. We have Patty Benton, Barbara O'Donnell, Lindsay O'Donnell, and Randy Jennings.
Good afternoon. My name is Patty Benton. I live in unincorporated Lake Worth. I'd like to just today to come and speak for the O'Donnells, and I have the great benefit and pleasure of being able to ride horses at their farm. The amount of development in the area would greatly impact where this place is at. Just the little bit of truck traffic that is on Starkey Road that comes from the businesses there, it's intense. Like, you cannot turn right on Atlantic Avenue or left to go east at 5 o'clock. I would implore anybody on this commission to try to go to that intersection at 5 p.m. and see what happens. About 2 months ago, there was a water main that broke under the road for westbound on Atlantic Avenue. The traffic just for this little repair was backed up past Hagen Ranch Road, further back past the turnpike. So there is that to be considered. I also understand that you can't impede on a landowner's rights and what they can do with their property. I just feel like the commission should really take in consideration both sides of the argument, and that there is people like me that don't have places to ride anymore because of development in this county. I'm a 3rd-generation native to this county. The development I have seen just from the south to the end, from North End to South County, is incredible. And there's so many of these commerce places already built along 95 that you can see are vacant from the road. Just because you can, do you need to build it? Is it needed out there? And like you said, you're bringing people in to the ag that don't live there. Correct? That you're trying to avoid that. This would bring extra businesses that maybe don't even serve the area. Thank you.
Okay, I'll read the next 3 cards. Oh, sorry.
Hi, I'm Barbara O'Donnell, owner of Irish Acres. Anyone who knows me knows I have a terrible fear of speaking in public, but this is so important to me that I cannot remain silent, so bear with me. My family purchased Irish Acres 12 years ago. Our shared vision was to create a sanctuary for horses unlike anything else in South Florida. We have 60 acres of beauty and tranquility to offer horses and their owners a chance to enjoy nature, which is slipping away to development. Our effort is 24/7, 365 days a year. Veterinarians, trainers, and farriers all tell us there's nothing else like our property. We are recognized every year as one of the very best boarding farms in South Florida. We're taking the next step with adding surgical rehabilitation with the closest other rehab up in the Ocala area. All of South Florida, which includes horse racing, Wellington's various national, international competitions, as well as local veterinary hospitals, need access to rehab facilities. This requires peaceful surroundings. If this development is approved, it will destroy us. It was and still remains our dream to grow and to enjoy and to pass on to our children. Please don't take this away from us. Thank you.
Hi there. Lindsay O'Donnell, Irish Acres. I will read super quick. I thought I had 3 minutes, so bear with me. I recently returned to Florida after living in Kentucky for 25 years to continue the legacy my parents started over a decade ago. Irish Acres Farm is nestled within the protected boundaries of the Ag Reserve. The unique landscape, ample turnout space separates it from all other area horse farms, making it a mecca for horses and their owners. South Florida has always had a need for an equine post-surgery rehab facility, and Irish Acres has answered this demand by opening its doors to horses who need the time and space to heal. We work closely with the trainers, owners, and veterinary teams to create individualized and closely monitored aftercare plans designed to safely get the horse back to their competitive state, whether it be the racetrack or the Grand Prix dressage rings in Wellington. But the tranquil atmosphere and quiet country roads are under serious threat of permanently disappearing. Staying silent on this very important matter is not an option for me. I was taught to fight for what I believe in and to do so by keeping my moral compass and integrity intact. The long-term business success of Irish Acres and positive contributions to South Florida's horse industry will cease to exist if this is approved. It would bring massive numbers of semi-trucks onto Starkey Road, and I've seen and experienced firsthand the disastrous consequences that result from mixing horses and semi-trucks. For nearly 10 years, I was patient care manager at the largest equine hospital in the world. I saw the worst of the worst and have personally gurneyed horses off horse ambulances and rushed them into surgery in an effort to save their lives after they collided with semis. Horses are highly sensitive, very reactive to their environment. They operate with fight or flight mentality. Very reason horses have been able to exist for over 55 million years, but it's also why horse-related activities carry an inherent risk. This point can be, I can paint a picture by, if anyone's ever seen, okay, thank you.
Okay, we have Frank Goodell Jr., Dr. Lori Vinequer, Krista Fine, and Tim Linkus.
We have 2 mics. Okay. Hello, my name is Frank Goodell. I'm a 40-year resident of Palm Beach County and a horse owner at Irish Acres. I have spent my whole life in the agricultural industry since 1985 in Palm Beach County. When the Agricultural Reserve was announced, it was a great step towards protecting the diversity of Palm Beach County. Its purpose was to coordinate development and open space and agriculture. Prior to the Agricultural Reserve, there was a consideration of having a building moratorium in West Palm Beach County. That was negotiated to become the Ag Reserve. In my time in the Ag Reserve, driving from my house, I used to see signs that said, Palm Beach County Ag Reserve. They've all disappeared. Nobody knows what the Ag Reserve is if they come here. Does Palm Beach County, who manages the signs, care about the Ag Reserve? I know where it is, but who else does? This begs the question, does the county still respect the spirit and benefits of the original Ag Reserve? The history provided by staff obviously shows this systematic dismantling of the Ag Reserve is well on the way. With respect to commercial or commerce development, why can a commercial center have a site in the Ag Reserve, but as a previous business owner, I could not keep my equipment on a landscape nursery in the Ag Reserve? In a business that supports the ag industry, that takes care of residences, we can't even find a site to keep landscape equipment. My wife and I even looked at buying a nursery to keep our equipment on and run the nursery. But with the current rules of preserve or development rights, it's unaffordable to start a nursery.
Good afternoon. My name is Randy Jennings, and I was supposed to go before him. I do apologize. I am a 30-year resident of Delray Lakes Estates. I have lived and worked in the community for most of my professional adult life, and my husband and I used to own a bread distribution business, so I understand distribution, dock heights, and warehousing versus what a distribution center is. This project, as described, based on what we have seen, is in fact a distribution center. You don't have 180 dock-high built openings and 8 for regular trucks. We used to have one dock height that the semi would come in and back off 50 trailers, 50 things of bread, and then we would break them down and load them onto the smaller trucks that were street height. That's how it works. When you've got the reverse proportion, it indicates to you that it's a distribution center, not a warehouse. There's nothing there. 8 bays are not enough to support the local area. So on the face of it, that doesn't pass the sniff test. There are 5 major disconnects between the plan and what the Ag Reserve calls for. First of all, it's an access to the arterial road. The land can't support ingress egress off Atlantic Avenue. As the distance from the turnpike entrance to Starkey Road, you're already in the turn lane. When you get off the turnpike, you're in Starkey Road turn lane. So I believe, and I understand that our attorney has contacted FLDOT, and they've said that the chance of getting ingress off of Atlantic Avenue is slim, if at all. Same with the traffic light, as there are 3 traffic lights 1,000 feet succeeding up the road. So those things aren't going to happen. At 5,000 trips, it's really 10, because not only do they come in, but they go out. So it's 10,000 trips by semi-trailers. And to use Commissioner Woodward's earlier description of the backup lanes with buses, imagine, if you will, a line of tractor trailers that are queuing up to get into Starkey Road, to get into a facility where there's no way for them to turn around and move.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Lori Vinacore, 10626 Laredo Road, Delray Beach, Florida, and I am the president of the Alliance of Delray. I am so glad that staff's report indicated that I stated at the Planning Commission meeting that this proposal is more suitable than previous ones, all because of the traffic amount of the traffic. The others always asked for traffic exemptions. So that's it, and we were expecting to write a letter, and we did write a letter. And you have it there on the dais there, and it does show that we are disappointed, the Alliance is disappointed, because we're not seeing the hotel, the extra residential, more restaurants. I understand there would have been too many text amendments, so I understand this, but this is a completely different animal than the other. But the reason why we're asking for a postponement, the most important thing is that Delray Lakes Estates, they're waiting to hear about FDOT's decision, because they may not be able to exit the way they need to exit from their property. And that is why we're asking. Maybe county staff could provide an update, if they have it, the latest update. I don't know, but we understand that if this is approved, of course, we would like them to wait a bit, but of course, we work with the developers, we work with the residences. Thank you for really sticking it out here today.
Can I have 15 of her seconds since she was early?
Perhaps 2 minutes, thank you.
Hi, I'm Krista Fine. I'm a Delray native. I've been here for 43 years, my whole life. And I've seen Delray, a quiet little beachy town, turn into a very, very busy city. I remember 4th of July and St. Patty's Day parades. I'd always run into friends and people I grew up with, and now you're lucky if I can park a mile to get there, mile distance. Fast forward 30 years later, I've turned my childhood dreams into a reality, and I got myself the most beautiful horse in the world. And it's time to find him a home. I begin to make phone calls trying to find his forever home, and that's when I find a little slice of heaven in Delray Beach. When I drove down Starkey Road and turned into Irish Acre Farms, I could not believe my eyes. It was magnificent, simply breathtaking. I knew then that this is where I wanted my horse to live. We've been there now over 3 years, and I'm still amazed at its beauty. When I bring Delray natives to see Killian, they're blown away that this exists. My mom always says she wants to retire and just come here every day. It's her happy place, along with everyone else who has the privilege of coming there. You see, before I got Killian, I read and researched and learned about horses and their lifestyles and what's good for them and what are healthy choices, and the training that kept coming up. The thing that kept coming up is the importance for them to graze. Horses eat 18 hours a day, and while they eat, they walk and they stay fit. And there's no other place I'd venture to say in all of South Florida that has pastures and fields like those at Irish Acre Farms, where they can live in a herd and eat and run and live the life they're most meant to live. Delray needs a place like Starkey Roads with farms and horses there, literally nothing like it anywhere else in the world. Not in the world, in the city. We have enough traffic, enough hustle and bustle. We must preserve this little piece of paradise in the midst of all the plazas, marketplaces, apartments, companies, distribution centers, and the list goes on. Let's keep something in Delray authentic. Let's keep something part of Delray full of nature and wildlife. We cannot lose this land and the beauty. That's the last bit of nature that Delray has. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we have Elizabeth Stedham, Beatrice Castano, Suzanne Mulvihill, and Joe Mulvihill.
I am Elizabeth Stedham. I'm new to the area. I've been out here a year. I'm a future homeowner in Delray Lakes Estates. My daughter and I own 2 horses over at Irish Acres. And from where I have lived in Connecticut, Chicago, Houston, Myrtle Beach, I have never seen a property like this for horses. It's a haven and a sanctuary, and the horses truly get to live their lives as they're meant to. One of my many questions that's going on here, this is my first time with this whole process, is you call it an ag preserve, and that means to me it's preserved land designated for certain use, but yet at any given moment, someone can decide to just, oops, that sounds like a good idea, let's dedicate this land to something new now, which I understand the owner of the property has the right to do what he wants with his land. But what's not compatible with the area or what brings benefit to the area. There's a storage unit for your shoes right across the street already, and there's Delray Marketplace, I think it's called, and there's all of Atlantic Ave. There's so much there. There's got to be some better use for this land than to build some big metal concrete facility and industry. I just think there's somewhere else that they can find that's already designed for such commercial use. Thank you. Somebody can have my minutes.
Go right ahead.
Good afternoon, I'm Beatrice Samuel, lifelong equestrian and recent UF Animal Sciences grad. In no way, shape, or form is this massive warehouse, in no way, shape, or form is it compatible or reasonable to mix semis and horses. I have watched as countless boarding facilities have been forced out of business and trail systems destroyed as development moves in and horses move out. As horse owners, we are running out of options. Horses need at minimum 18 hours of grazing time and their 3 basic needs of friends, freedom, and forage for their health and well-being. It is recommended that horses are maintained at a rate of 2 horses per acre at minimum. Irish Acres is the only farm in South Florida providing horses with such an opportunity to be turned out in large grass pastures with other horses. Simply put, horses and semi-trucks are not compatible for obvious safety reasons. The trail system we regularly use and enjoy must be accessed by riding on the shoulder of Starkey Road. This will become an impossibility should the plan be approved, unless you have a death wish. The Florida horse industry contributes $12.8 billion to the Florida economy and supports over 250,000 jobs, and Florida is the 3rd largest equine state in the United States, with over 385,000 horses. We are asking that you seriously consider and support our opposition before voting. Our safety and that of our horses is dependent on it, and I thank you in advance. It hurts my heart and threatens our way of life to imagine the quiet farming landscape complete with the only trail system in the area permanently damaged.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Suzanne Mulvihill, 3230 Northeast 13th Street. I'm now in Pompano Beach. However, I am one of the legacy farmers, as you've heard the term legacy farmer for the new commissioners meeting the property owners who owned land prior to the mass zoning change of 1998. So when we saw that the Ag Reserve was set up originally in the 80s, in 98, a mass zoning change came along and blanketed the entire Ag Reserve, restricting everyone's rights. So for 11 years, I've been coming before you as a former Lake Worth City Commissioner, as well as the chair of the Forced to Farm Political Action Committee, because originally we were forced to farm. We had to farm. And for the first time, you actually have, this was the fourth time now that Mr. O'Keen is in front of you, you have staff's approval. You have staff's approval. So when your prior commission when we came before you with my children back in 2014, we didn't have staff's approval, but the commission did the right thing. And this is about doing the right thing. As Mr. Flores, as you shared, this is about property rights. And it wasn't set up right from the beginning, meaning the small farmers were left out of the master plan. So one by one, we've been before 11 commissioners over the last 11 years, from Santa Maria to Shelley Vanna to Steve Abrams, who said, when he approved my children's property, and Steve Homrich, he said, we will deal with these on a case-by-case basis. So this is case number 15, for example, of one by one doing the right thing and having to make the difficult decisions to right wrongs from the past. So that's what this is about. And we have tried to, 4 times, coming before this commission for one property. Please approve. Please approve it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mayor, Vice Mayor. Joe Mulvihill, Mulvihill Nursery, formerly of 9821 Happy Hollow Road, but now I have a farm on Smith Sunday Road. So instead of retiring, I bought my brother-in-law's 15-acre farm. So, Dagmeyer, I didn't buy an airplane, I didn't buy a yacht. I'm still coming to work every day, because that's what you said when you're up there rebutting me. Anyway, I've known Paul O'Keen since I was a kid.
Children today have everything from ADD, ADHD, OCD, eczema, psoriasis, PDD, NOS, peanut allergies. Sounds like I've said it once or twice. I have a child in that category, and every day is a challenge. And I'm fortunate. I have the resources to get by and to get services. But a lot of the families today, even in Delray, in a demographic where we often are more affluent, they don't have services. They don't have what they need. So I wouldn't throw the whole equine out so quickly with the bathwater, as they say, because it's a real benefit. I hope I've answered some part of it.
Thank you. I agree. Thank you, Mayor.
All right?
Thank you so much for all you do.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. Richard Carlson, for the record, Chip Carlson, representing Delray Lakes Estates. You were just handed this handout from Patrick. You received it in an email this morning, but let me just walk you through it real quickly. If you look at the second page, you'll see the relationship of this project to the next one on your agenda coming in. It's to the south. There's a proposal to realign Persimmon Avenue, Delray Lakes Estates entrance, with Starkey Road and to signalize it. Everyone recognizes that's a need. Mr. O'Keefe is committed to undertake all that work, and we look forward to working on that. The real head scratcher here is the next page. That's the site plan for the proposed facility on the north side. Now, there's been a comment that this meets section or policy 3.5D of the comprehensive plan. That's a traffic volume analysis. That is not a character of the vehicles analysis related to projects. So we have a site plan that's supposed to be part and parcel of a land use amendment. It has to be brought through as the part of along with the adoption process. But today we're just sort of put that off to the side. We'll deal with it later. We'll fix that later. It's not really in play right now. And yet the comp plan says that the two have to be considered together. So our view is that this should be on the table right now for more in-depth vetting. But be that as it may, I spoke to FDOT relative to the prospects of a traffic signal. And their comment was, no, we do not support a traffic signal with an alignment taking Persimmon over to Starkey. We support a traffic signal to the west. The problem is FDOT takes a long time to get things done. I've done traffic signal approvals, variances with FDOT. I can tell you that between now and adoption, this issue is not going to be worked out, and you're looking at turn lane lengths that are not sufficient to accommodate tractor trailers. If that's what's coming out of this project on the north side, we're going to have some issues. So I would ask that the applicant commit that if the FDOT traffic signal issue is not resolved at adoption, that it be continued at the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. Paul O'Keen, Morningstar Nursery. 1983, 42 years ago, I planted the first roots of my nursery farm on this Starkey Road site. I shared those early days with true pioneers, iconic growers who led not just with skill, but with heart. They were stewards of their land and guarded their property rights fervently. We were competitors, yes, but more than that, we were community. We shared wisdom, weathered struggles, and together raised a standard that made us all better growers and better people. Over time, many of those legacy nurserymen and farmers have moved on, closing chapters and beginning new ones. And now I find myself at that same turning point. My nursery days are behind me for a variety of fateful reasons. However, I am grateful for every moment they held. But I also look ahead with anticipation, as I now have the opportunity to begin a new chapter alongside my children. Today, I'm humbled to stand here in the company of those same nursery and farming families, grateful for their support, and honored by the legacy we continue to build. Thank you.
Do you need to read the last four? Last call for Rich Petruzzo, Dana Donnelly, Rena Ballin, and Tim Linkus. Okay, and then we also had 5 non-speaking cards, 4 in support, sorry, more than, and 3 in opposition, so sorry, 7 non-speaking cards.
All right. It's been a long afternoon. Mr. Seymour, would you come up and recap for us, please?
This is transmittal. So, in all seriousness, and I want to start with one thing, because I take very, very seriously the word disingenuous. I don't think Barbara meant anything by it. I know her too well. We're not saying we're not having truck parking, we're not going to have semis, there's nothing disingenuous. What I've said, and what I will say again, is the site plan isn't baked. And so there will be changes. I don't know what they're going to be. I don't know what they're going to look like. We're taking all this. And to the point that was made, and I cannot remember now who said it, and it may have been Dagmar, that the discussion of the site plan will definitely be useful. I can't answer all of that now, but I can tell you what I started with. I was right about one thing at least. You were going to hear the word distribution center a lot today. It is not in a vacuum. And when we come back with a final site plan, and after you've had a zoning commission review, after your zoning staff has reviewed the site plan, and after we've gone with DOT, and by the way, Mr. Kelly, who is our traffic engineer, spoke with DOT yesterday, and they said, no, we did not say. And now, I'm not saying that they didn't tell Chip what they told Chip, but there could be different people. They have not made a decision one way or the other. We will continue to work with FDOT. We do understand the concern about the light and the need for that. That is something that will come at the zoning piece of this, and we will have to bring all of that together pursuant to the way the comp plan works. Again, this is about taking the next step. Like, if we stop here, then there's nothing more to discuss. We want to continue that discussion. And so, yes, we do understand the concerns that people have. Yes, we do understand that there's concerns about truck traffic. That's and many of it is the same concerns you heard when BBX was here for theirs. But the idea of no need, we've proven. Not by me standing up here saying it, where someone says, well, there's no need because of this. I've shown you. So the bottom line of this is the comp plan has very specific requirements. And as Jennifer showed you, all of those requirements are met. We do know there's more work to be done. We do know there's more details to get through, and we will continue those discussions. And Chip and I talked a couple of days ago. Despite an objection, we'll continue to meet with Delray Lakes Estates. We'll continue to work with them. We're happy to meet with anybody. And I will tell you right now, Mr. O'Donnell, if you want to sit down with me, with or without anybody else, I'm available. I understand. We will try to do everything that we can. What we're asking for you today is to transmit this, and then when we bring the whole thing back together to answer those detailed pieces once they're finalized and have been fully reviewed by your staff as well.
Commissioner Sachs, your light is on, and then Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. I don't need to talk with you, but if I do, I'll call you out. Thank you, sir. The interesting thing about all of this, and Mr. Seymour and I know each other, and I respect his opinions, is continue. Yes, let's continue this. Let's not get let's not say we're going to promote it, advocate it, vote for it, if we're not quite sure what it is. Mr. Seymour, I'm not quite sure what it is. It's not a distribution center. There's not going to be any traffic issues. Somehow the trucks, if there would be trucks, won't be coming out on Atlantic. They're going to use Starkey, but that's okay, because we're not quite sure what's going to happen. I don't think this thing is ready for prime time. I think you all have work to do over here on the left side. I think you've got to put this thing together. I like Mr. O'Keen. I like his family. Our kids, everybody knows, they grew up together, okay? They're good people, good, honest, hardworking Palm Beach County folks. They need a better project than this. And I'm pretty damn serious about it. That man has the right to sell his property, but he also has to understand and respect that property rights go as far as your neighbor. So if you're going to put a manure pile next to an elementary school, then that's not going to work. And to put I don't want to say distribution, let me say warehouses, and I'm reading from up there, warehouse with office, fitness center, self-storage, and manufacturing. I never heard manufacturing here. What are we making? Processing with accessory tap room. Tap room to me, and I'm not a kid, but tap room to me means a bar. I don't know, what are we doing here? This thing's all over the place. And Mr. O'Keen and his family deserve better. And the folks who live on that road deserve a hell of a lot better. I've been up and down that road many times, and I have permission to use the names of Chris. I mispronounce his last name. I think it's like Tish. Has a tree farm there. You've got Mr. O'Donnell and O'Brien. You got Geronimo Farms. They got their family there too. I know Starkey Road. I did business there many years ago, and it's a good family place. And Mr. O'Keen's got a great family, and there's no reason why we can't do better than this. Warehouse, manufacturing, processing, with a beer house. What the hell are we doing here? This is worth a lot more than that's primo property, right there on the end of Atlantic Avenue, right next to the turnpike. That's primo property. That should be used for something better, because 2.7 miles up the road on 441 is a huge storage facility. So we need another storage facility. And the people who are close to that storage facility on 441 and Atlantic are already complaining to me about it. This is my district, I know it. So we don't need another warehouse facility. So look, I'm disappointed in what we have done so far to this good O'Keen family, and to the relationship that he had with his neighbors. We got one on the right, and we got the others on the left. I'd like to see this continued. I don't know if you can do that, but I'd like to see it continue. They want to work with their neighbors. The neighbors want to work with them. So if we could just do something where we could put it off, I don't know if we can do that legally here in the county commission, but this thing needs work. And I don't want anybody to be rushed into it, yay or nay. And so I reserve my time for a little later, too. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. My first question would be for staff. I'm not sure who, as far as this, we keep talking about this is for transmittal. So if we could start with the process of if the board were to pass this for transmittal, what are the next steps? What's the timeline for what happens at this point?
So the zoning application will be reviewed. It would then get certified by the DRO, which is the Development Review Officer, and then it would get scheduled for the Zoning Commission and then the adoption hearing, where you would hear both the zoning application and the FLUA amendment at the same time.
This goes to the state first, though.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Right,
That's an important component of it, yes. The state, there's a state review.
Okay, and so the rough timeline of all of that to take place before it comes back to this board for zoning?
I would think early fall, probably September, October.
Okay, and at this point, what exactly we would be voting on for transmittal? Can you be more specific with what our approval with conditions would be?
So it means transmittal to the state. So we send the package up to the state.
What are the conditions that are?
The conditions, there's a condition related to the total number of trips for our long-range traffic standard 35D to meet that requirement. And then there's the condition that both items, the zoning application and the FLUA, come back to the board on the same day. So those are the two conditions.
Okay. Are we able to put a condition on here in regards to the traffic signal and the agreement with FDOT? Or would that be at the zoning?
I didn't hear because the commissioner was sitting down, so.
Oh, in regards to the traffic signal agreement with FDOT, because this is FDOT's road, they would have to agree to the traffic signal. Can that be part of the conditions for this vote, or would that be in the next round?
Well, I'm reluctant to require a condition where another governmental entity has to approve something. Patrick, do you have anything to?
And it would have to meet warrants, but if you wanted to carry the concept forward, it would be coordinate with DOT and come back with the information if it's warranted as you work through zoning and bring back that information, because it may or may not meet warrants at specific locations.
And that would be
Bring back
determined
the
by
information
FDOT?
back.
Okay.
Return with the information when it comes back.
Yeah,
for
I think
approvals.
that's fair, to condition them to work with FDOT and bring back the information to us
Okay.
at adoption.
Well, maybe not condition, but direction.
Direction to, okay, so direction for the traffic signal. Okay. And we are not by any means tying ourselves into a site plan or uses or even parking, none of that by transmittal.
Correct, yeah. As Mr. Seymour mentioned, this is still kind of early in the process in terms of the zoning application review. You know, he mentioned there's likely to be modifications, so definitely not tied to what's,
Okay,
you know,
because
presented.
I do agree with Commissioner Sachs. I think this still has some work to do, but in my meeting with the applicant and with neighbors, there needs to be more conversation. So for board direction, if it were to be to continue to work with them, and, you know, there is some considerations to be made that can be done between now and when this comes back to us in the fall, which would be, I'm guessing, September, October, based on what's happened before in transmittal at this time. And then, you know, in regards to property rights, I do hear what you're saying, like your property rights in with your neighbor, but, you know, trying to use the manure analogy, which did come to me too, this is something that the county, a previous board, put into place, this CMR designation. So we put out there that this would be allowed. had this board said, you know, you can put manure piles in the ag reserve, and someone showed up and said, hey, I'd like to be one of those, then that is what we will be talking about. But that is not what we're talking about. This, we put out, we, a previous board, even though I wasn't here yet, I don't know who was, but it was designated that this would be allowed. The development rights are retained. So I, for one, I know that this does have a lot of work to do. I would be in support of transmitting with the direction for working with FDOT, and especially working with the neighbors to continue to make this project what has been promised, and addressing the concerns of the people on Starkey Road and also Delray Lake Estates to the south. So I don't know if I'm time to make a motion, but if there's any other board direction that would like to be added.
Well, we've got a couple of more comments. Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you. First off, staff, I want to thank you for the work you've done on this. And to the public for being here, thank you. And appreciate your input. I also appreciate the opportunity I've met with you, Joe, and your team, and to get your input. So I've got a couple of things I'd like to talk about. One is, it was brought up 24-hour operation. Is that allowed under our code? Sorry.
Come on, Lisa.
The answer to, I'm looking over there at Jennifer. There is a limit on 24 operation, and you need a type 2 waiver, but I believe that's only within 250 feet of residential. And they're nodding. Yeah, so without a condition of approval, and if there's no, I don't think there's residential within 250 feet. Is there across the street in Delray? If the Delray Lake Estates is within 250 feet, they may need a type 2 waiver, but it depends on the placement of those two out parcels in the front and the separation distance.
I don't know, but we'll have the answer by the time we see you again. And if that's a concern, Commissioner, we'll also talk about how the operations really work and whether there's even a restriction we could put in place. I just don't have the answer because we hadn't gotten that deep into the plan. Thank you.
I'm not surprised that you guys don't have answers. These are things that I'm thinking about that were brought up today. I know one of the concerns, and I had mentioned this, the applicant earlier, is the access on Starkey Road and limiting that access because of trying to keep the trucks away from the equestrian use. And so I know there was, I'm going to put that out there. I guess, you know, really what we're talking about is things that would prevent me from wanting to support anything moving forward. So I know it was also brought up that there was no access on Atlantic, but I believe our CMR, in fact, I don't believe it, I know it, requires that there's access on Atlantic. So if that can't be obtained, that wouldn't qualify for this land use. I'll be interested in knowing the number of dock height and street height docks that are in the proposal. You know, as we saw, we have a very limited site plan at this point, and I know it's potential to change. I think one of the things, and this is something that I think Delray Estates brought up, had to do with the left turns onto the turnpike. One of the things I noticed when I went and looked at the overheads there is it's already been built out to have 2 left turn lanes. I'm looking around where Chip is. 2 left turn lanes is already, one striped out, but could easily be implemented. So that might be something to have a conversation with FDOT about as well, if this were to move forward, and there's a belief that there's going to be additional eastbound traffic trying to get onto the turnpike. You know, these are difficult decisions, and first off, to the O'Donnells and Irish Acres, I've been out there. I really, really appreciate all you guys have done out there. And I don't want to see a project come forward that would impact your ability to continue to operate. But I believe there is the ability to do both successfully, provided we have the proper separations of these uses. But I think with a little bit of smart planning, and I know, and I believe, I shouldn't say I know, but I believe that our applicant wants to make this possible. So I know they'll work together in good faith and try and see if there might be a way to work out. So I will be supporting the transmittal today, but I don't want that to be taken as I will support this project if it doesn't, if we can't address some of the concerns that I brought up today and some of my fellow commissioners and what we've heard from the community as well. But I believe all this can be resolved in a way that protects the part of the ag reserve that we all are trying to protect and allows the O'Keefe family to make a new chapter in their lives and move on their investment into a way that will continue to be able to provide for their family. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Sacks.
I have a question for staff. Can they come back with another project site plan? Correct.
Revising the current one, that's a question. Yes, they could revise it for sure.
It seems to me that we all love the idea of putting something in this site. However, what we don't like is 103 parking spaces, 180 loading docks, 4 buildings between 100 feet and 107. Everybody in this dais basically saying the same thing. They have a right to sell their land, but the site plan as listed, and I think one of the slides had about 1,541 driving trips a day out of there. If you could pull it up, hopefully I read it wrong. We don't like what it looks like. Because what it looks like is that it's going to seriously and negatively impact an industry that's very important to Palm Beach. If we change this so that we don't necessarily have warehouses and big parking spaces for trucks, it may work. But I don't want to put my name on it now. This is in print. This is in the computer. This is what they have asked for. This is what our staff, has approved. So I'm not putting my name on this. I'll put my name on something that looks decent to the O'Keefe family and looks decent to the wonderful industry of landscaping, farming, and equestrian uses. That's what we discussed all morning was the Ag Reserve. Now we're coming over and saying we're going to put another distribution center within a few miles of a huge BBX processing distribution center on 441 in Atlantic. I'm going to put my name on this. I don't want the residents and the legacy farmers to think that I could do this to anybody. I won't do it to the residents of Delray Lake Estates. They're seniors, they've earned their space and their peace there. There is no light on Atlantic and this proposed project. There's none. There is a turn lane that comes right out of the turnpike. It's going to take a lot of work to get, and you try getting a hold of FDOT, good luck. It's like getting a hold of the Vatican half the time. So it's not easy. This is not ready yet. And I'm not putting my name on it. And I urge my commissioners to do what they think is best. But remember that throughout this county of 1.5 million people, we have to respect what the zoning is, we have to respect what the rules are, and we have to respect one of our most important industries, which is agriculture and equestrian. We denied an Amazon distribution center in the western portions. There's no reason why we should put any type of distribution center in the middle of an equestrian and agricultural area. So I'll work with everybody, anybody, the O'Keefes, it sounds like everybody's Irish or something, the O'Donnells, the O'Briens, and I'll work with y'all to get something that's compatible. Just imagine the word compatible to be in that very nice parcel of land. And that I'll put my name on it and promote it. But this is not ready yet. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And I see no more lights on. I've been quiet. This is about transmittal. I too would like to see something a little less dense. And I too would like to see a traffic light, the realignment. These would be things that would be very important to this going forward. But again, until we do some more work, we won't know these things. Commissioner Powell and Commissioner Flores, your lights are on. I'm going to stop my comments, and Commissioner Powell, you go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A few things I wanted to point out. I think that, one, I want to thank staff for your review of this application. This is a challenge in terms of the different and competing interests. I think your review is definitely well-intentioned. As a planner, I understand the position that you're in, especially when you're thinking about transmittal. And that's where we are. It's not really the adoption of a site plan at this moment, but because the site plan has been submitted, that site plan is something that is available for review. Some of the things that I think are challenging, especially for the individuals who are on Starkey Road, is this idea of the number of bays that are there for truck traffic. I know that's a challenge. As the O'Donnells indicated, they came here and purchased their property 12 years ago. And I think, Commissioner Sachs, you kind of hit on an issue called, it's a Del Webb issue, moving to the nuisance. And I wouldn't necessarily say this is a nuisance, but the intent was when they purchased, they were in the ag reserve. They're still in the ag reserve. Those uses would continue to be ag reserve without the thought process of commerce becoming a new land use with an underlying ag reserve. So I understand that as well. But I do understand the changing environment and changing economy here in Palm Beach County, and understand how staff has looked at that. This, of course, my concern is I've been to Irish Acres. I've had the opportunity to sit with Mr. O'Donnell and Mrs. O'Donnell. It's a very serene place. One of the few places in Palm Beach County where there's not a lot of hustle and bustle going on. And that's a concern because of the idea and thought process that they're worried that this would ruin their business. And that's a challenge because we're balancing competing interests, the property rights and the property ownership rights of one entity and one individual versus the property ownership and rights of another. The idea of what's supported. Mr. Seymour stood up and indicated that we're going to hear the word distribution several times today, which we have. Distribution center. That concerns me. Also, for staff, I would like to know, with regard to monitoring the traffic condition, just if you could explain to the commission or the board of how that monitoring will take place to make sure that if that condition is there, the county does not overstep that. The noise impact. You know, looking at this site, it is further, the O'Donnell site is a little bit further to the north of the site of the O'Keene property. However, you know, there is a concern with regard to the amount of noise and what impact that would have on the horses on the site. And the question is, would those horses, do they ride the horses on Starkey at any point? Because that does have an impact. In addition, the idea of the 24 hours, this is transmittal. That's something that we definitely need to have a conversation about further. If this is to move forward today, those are some of the things that we really need to look at. Again, the challenge is staff has recommended approval, and we know that at the Planning Commission, there was a vote in which it was denied. So it puts us here today to see where we are. But I do recognize and I do keep in mind that this is transmittal. We're not adopting a site plan, but the site plan was submitted, and the site plan is available for us to see what is submitted. So we wouldn't be serving the public well if we did not take into account of what we see. And there are some things in that site plan that are concerning to members of the board and members of the public. So those are things that we really need to address if we are to move forward today. With that, Madam Mayor, I close.
Commissioner Flores?
Thank you. So I've wrecked my brain on this one. I've looked at both sides of the coin here, and I think Commissioner Powell just sort of highlighted some of the things that I have looked at. But ultimately, where I keep coming back to is this applicant has submitted 4 applications, and this board over and over and over has said no. If it was by me, I would want to see housing here. I would want to see other things. But it was this same board that denied him the last time. Now, did I agree with that last site plan? Absolutely not. I think there was way too many things happening in that particular site. Yeah, I know they withdrew, but it was because it was under pressure from this board. My point is I want to be respectful to the O'Donnells and to the property that they have and their way of life, and to the horses to keep that peace. But I also have to be transparent and as neutral as possible when considering somebody's property right. Because at the end of the day, this piece of property was purchased back in, I think I heard 1981. And we can't hold a person hostage to be able to develop their own piece of property because of how it may impact. Now, do I want to limit the impact? Absolutely. Do I want three entrances and exits off of Starkey? No. I think we need to provide a restriction of how close the most northern entrance is to the O'Donnell's piece of property. I would completely remove the most northern from the site plan. I don't think this should be a 24/7 operation. We have to figure out what that happy medium is, whether it's 10 p.m. that trucks can go there. And I think we definitely need a intersection light at that road. But that's what I've wrecked myself with here. I do want to, I think the O'Donnell property is heaven on earth. I do want to make sure that those horses have a proper place to be taken care of and get back to health. But I also don't want to infringe on someone's rights. And from what I'm seeing, this is what this board has zoned this for. And now for us to say, no, this is not, it checks all the boxes. So as much as it pains me, I am going to move forward on transmittal. But I am going to ask the applicants and there's work that needs to be done on the site. So I'm going to encourage you to please open dialogue with the O'Donnells and Irish Farms, and let's find a way that this is gonna work. Because if I don't feel that it's gonna work, then I'm not gonna move forward. But at this point in time, I'm okay with it.
Commissioner Woodward?
I was wanting to make a motion with a list of conditions, but did you want to make comments before that?
Commissioner Sacks also. So if you want to, yes, I would like to make comments, but I will be the last person to make comments. So if Commissioner Sacks wants to go, you want to make a motion, you're more than welcome to make a motion at any time.
Okay, well, I would like to go ahead and unless was Commissioner Flores, I'm not sure. Were you making the motion? I just wrote down a list of what I heard the rest of the board say to approve this. And I'll start by saying that this site plan as is, if this comes back after transmittal, this board has before changed its mind on something that went to transmittal, a very, very big one that went to transmittal and came back and was not acceptable. So this board can and has done that to change it in the past. So I would just put that out there. But with the conditions of approval that you will work with FDOT on the traffic signal and the turn lane that was mentioned by Commissioner Weiss to get information on those being added. The hours of operation would be addressed at the time that this returns. Again, the site plan, the size, the number of trucks, that will all be addressed. And also to continue to meet with the community and when you bring it back to us, show us all the different ways that you have made Starkey Road less impacted by this when it comes back with landscape buffers or entrances. There's a number of ways, you guys have done it before, that you could bring this back after working with them. I think we're all very concerned on that. So that would be my motion. I think I covered what everyone's concerns would be for the conditions. Okay, thank you.
I clarify that that would be direction and not specific conditions.
Sorry. Yeah, the working with the FDOT would be.
The whole list would be
Yes, this would
direction.
all be direction, yes.
So we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Sacks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When we do conditions, how does that affect the application from going to Tallahassee?
They're just added into the packet and as far as what happened at the meeting, but it seems like it's more direction.
Direction to FDOT, but when people give conditions as we are today, and I know my colleagues have done that, is that part of the application that goes to Tallahassee?
Well, I think what Commissioner Woodward directed was, or.
Not directed, there's a difference. Directs FDOT, because we don't tell them what to do.
Right. So
we ask them, right?
The two conditions
But-
that staff had recommended with the trips for 35D and then the concurrent FLUA. and
So all
Zodiac.
of this would be a condition, not a direction.
Those two would be
correct?
conditions.
Good,
The
okay, so
additional
let
items that she
me
listed would be
concur
direction.
with Commissioner Woodward and Commissioner Weiss that the issues of the traffic on Starkey Road, that'll be closed, and their access will be on Atlantic Avenue, because that'll take care of issues, and I haven't heard from my traffic engineer yet, but Starkey Road is a country road, and we're talking about 102 tractor trailer, imagine 102 tractor trailer loading bays, okay, on Starkey Road. That's not going to happen. That's going to be one big flood mud mess. So I would make sure that the entrance and exit of this center, which is not ag and not equestrian, but commercial, be only on Atlantic Avenue, which is a thoroughfare and about to be widened. And that would take care of the horses coming in the same road with trucks. And then I think what Commissioner Woodward talked about is not 24 hours going in and out, but business hours. And I think the FDOT will eventually get that light there, and then when they do, then can start the process. Sir.
It's very important for them to have at least one access on Starkey because of the truck or even any vehicular movement to make a direct left turn out from Starkey Road to Atlantic and then go to the turnpike. They need to have a signal, and also they need to have an access on Starkey. Without having access on Starkey, if they only have access on Atlantic to go eastbound, they have to come out of Atlantic and drive down further west.
What do they do right
and
now?
make a U-turn, which will
What
be
do
very
they do
difficult.
now? Out of Starkey Road, you want to go east on Atlantic. What do they do?
They have to make a U-turn somewhere,
Right,
but
right.
we are talking about
Trucks.
probably trucks.
Yeah,
So
tractor
that it will
trailer.
be
No,
very
no, no.
difficult.
And I didn't want to bring this up, but Mayor, just give me a minute. About 10 years ago, there was an accident in the acreage of a little girl on a horse that got spooked by a truck. And we made a law. We called it Nicole's Law. Little kids have to wear helmets on horses. Would it have helped her? Probably not. What would have helped her is that there wasn't a tractor trailer on the same road where kids are riding horses. We got to get real here. This is ridiculous to have tractor trailers that are so big that that we cannot allow them. And you're a traffic engineer. You can't allow them to make an exit off of Starkey Road. We can't have it both ways. Either they want to have a commercial center, let them have a commercial center. But let them get off on Atlantic Avenue, which is a commercially zoned highway, right? Starkey Road is a country road. I will not see that happen. It is wrong. And I was there at the site, and I never want to see it again. When kids are riding horses, you don't have tractor trailers. So stop Starkey Road from being a part of this commercial entity. Let them do their business off of Atlantic Avenue. And thank you, and I'm closing. Thank you.
Thank you. But the motion was to transmit with, working with FDOT. A condition was hours of operation. And it did sound like the consensus of the board was they wanted something smaller on the property, site plan density smaller, and that there be community outreach. There are no prohibitions about Starkey Road. Tractor trailers are on Starkey Road already, going to the nurseries that are to the north of this property. And I'm sure there were countless tractor trailers on this road when Morningstar Nursery was at its height. The unfortunate thing is that Irish Acres of Florida, not Irish Acres, that's a different development. Irish Acres of Florida has come to be part of this community at a time when Morningstar was a little sleepier than it is now. Than it was. So we're not going to condition Starkey Road, and I believe that the petitioner had already talked with Mr. O'Donnell in the past about entrances, and I think there was a discussion about the northernmost entrance, that would have been the third entrance, was then said, no, we'll take this one. So where the entrance and exit to this property has nothing to do, no interference with any of the properties to the north on either side of the road. So while I will agree when we take the vote with the rest of the board to transmit, I do want to see something a little less dense on the property. And yes, I agree with not having 24 hours there. And this is all about community. You saw the community come out on both sides, those in support and those not in support. That's what community does. That's what commissioners do. That's what brothers and sisters do. This is debate, and that's what we have today. And I'd like to thank staff for all the work you put into this. I'd like to thank everyone that came today to give their opinions. And I thank the petitioner for realizing that there's been a lot of times you've come in front of us. A lot of times we've said no. Strictly no, out of the box no. Here's an opportunity to get it right. So let's get it right. And with that, we have a motion from Commissioner Woodward. We had a second from and Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Weiss, I apologize, Commissioner Weiss.
I'm not as good looking, so.
We had a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? We have one nay, so the motion carries 5-1. The motion is to transmit with some direction and some conditions. Does the clerk have all of that? Okay. Yes, now we're on the part 2. Okay. Now we're on Park West, Commerce South.
Correct.
We have an additional presentation.
Very quick.
Thank you. And we have 5 cards.
Okay. Good afternoon. Jennifer Morton with J. Morton Planning and Landscape Architecture, presenting the Park West Commerce South project. The request, same as the north, we're requesting to amend the future land use designation from AGR to commerce with an underlying AGR. The future land uses along the corridor, I went through each one in my last presentation. You can see the Park West South identified there, highlighted in yellow with the request to go to commerce with an underlying AGR. I went through all the criteria for requesting commerce. This parcel does comply with all 5 criteria to request commerce. And in addition, it is consistent with the comp plan in those elements A through E, including it does not need a 3.5 exemption either and complies with all the requirements of the county's comprehensive plan. Staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission recommended approval, and we're requesting support to transmit this application as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will go ahead and get the cards done.
Okay, we have 5 cards. Linda Smith, Suzanne Mulvihill, Joe Mulvihill, Chip Carlson, and Jim Knight.
I'm still Linda Smith. I still live in Jupiter, speaking for the Sierra Club. Drew, Kay, Sheila, Maria, Gail. Again, this is just another private amendment. We all have heard quite a bit about this today. I'm sure this is going to go right through, and it's just, I don't know how many people come to you folks asking for light industrial uses compared to the people that ask for you not to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Suzanne Mulvihill, same address as last time. There's a few more points I want to make. Was also on March 15th, 2005, the prior commission passed the water force main that required the people along Atlantic Avenue and part of 441 to pay a water assessment, Mr. O'Keen included, my children included, for 20 years. We paid for a water line, and I can send you a clip that my daughter did 9 years ago, showing that the board, Aronson, Mazzotti, approved for the residents along Atlantic Ave with the promise of future development in 2005. So I will send all of you that because there's many new commissioners that may not be aware of that. And also I think it's important to remember this is again about doing the right thing. This isn't a chip. You know, we talk about the chips and the slices. This is the 3% that's remaining. The people who have property rights, the people who didn't sell their development rights. That's what this is. This is 10 acres out of 22,000. I think one of the biggest myths about the agricultural reserve that got perpetuated over the last 15 years is that the public owns the entire agricultural reserve, which couldn't be further from the truth, because 10% of that 22,000 is owned by the public. The rest has been people like my brother, my children, who had to deal with the neighborhood next door filing complaints because we had cows on our property, which was permitted, but then once the development started. So it has been difficult for these legacy farmers, my brother included, why I'm not sure why he's going to buy another farm and doing it again. I think he needs to join that Sarah group that's just being, because he's a committed farmer in the Ag Reserve. Thank you very much. Please approve it.
Hi, Joe Mulvihill. You know where I live. I'm just here to say please support this project. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Thank you.
Chip Carlson again, Delray Lakes Estates. No objection to transmittal. This one looks like the tail to the dog. It's not, as far as Delray Lakes Estates is concerned. Delray Lakes Estates abuts this on 3 sides. There's obviously a plethora of site-related operation issues, all kinds of things that need to be worked out at the zoning level, perhaps at the comprehensive plan level as well. What we don't want to see is a operation that comes in here that's represented as one thing, but circumstances change over time, and pretty soon they're back before you and say, oh, you already got a self-storage facility there. We just want to do this. So Paul O'Keen and his team have committed to work with Delray Lakes Estates on private matters that relate to the properties. We look forward to doing that. It's going to be a lot of complicated issues of moving persimmon, maybe not moving persimmon, but in any case, a lot of zoning type issues we look forward to working with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, Commissioners, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Jim Knight, still at 740 Havana Drive, Boca Raton. Don't plan on moving. Hopefully the kids get the house and they don't sell it. That'd be key. Anyway, I just wanted to say that we will continue to work with everybody that we can and so forth, that this is the least amount of traffic of every single project that has come forward. We're talking about 77% less than the mixed-use project and so forth. And I don't think that Joe O'Donnell or some of the other neighbors and so forth would be jumping up and down if we told them that we wanted to increase the traffic by 77% to do a mixed-use development on this site. We certainly spent a lot of time and effort working towards that, but there was a resounding no by Delray Lakes Estates and by Joe O'Donnell and so forth about having the mixed-use project. So I just don't want anybody to think that, yeah, if it, it changes this way or that way a little bit, that they're going to change and jump up and down and say, yeah, put 3 times the amount of traffic basically out here. And I would appreciate if you'd support this. Thank you.
We have no more cards. Any discussion? Someone want to make a motion? Commissioner Sachs?
Thank you. I won't make a motion. I just want to make sure that Delray Lake Estates is okay with it.
Delray Lakes Estates is okay with it if we can work out a lot of details, many of which are private in nature, between the property owner and Delray Lakes Estates, recognizing that there is going to be some development on this property someday. The proposal of Mr. O'Keen is certainly one of the least intensive uses that you can get, but it's got a lot of bulk to it that we need to look at closely. It's got a lot of density, floor area, if you will. But we think we can get there, and we would look to the county staff to impose conditions as well that ensure that this property ends up as something that's compatible with the community.
And sir, you represent the people of Delray Lake Estates?
I represent the Delray Lakes Estates Homeowners Association
HOA.
Board of Directors, yes. There is some division in the community, and you saw it here earlier today on the north side. You get that, as you know, everywhere, even up here. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm not yet done yet.
Okay.
Would you, when you write your letter and work with staff on the conditions that you would like, not private, but public,
Understood.
would you make sure you copy all of us so that we know what those conditions are and that if they are going to be kept? So when it comes back to us, we know that the applicant has taken care of the business with Delray Lake Estates.
We will.
HOA.
And Mr. Seymour said to me the other day, who's drafting?
Who's wrapping?
Who's drafting? Drafting, writing
Oh,
words
who's
on paper.
drafting?
Yeah, so we'll be working with the
Make sure
team.
he does it.
Okay, that sounds good.
Make sure he
No.
does. That's all I got to say. As long as he does it, that's cool. And has your name on it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion, if it's okay.
That'd be
Make
great.
a motion that we approve the application for,
We transmit.
yep, I transmit that to, let me see, Park West, South.
So you'd like to make a motion to transmit the Park West Commerce South FLUA amendment?
I couldn't have said it better.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And I have a second from, actually, Commissioner Flores waved his finger in support. Okay. All right. So, all those in favor? All those opposed? See that that motion carries 6-0. Thank you all. The next item has been postponed. So we are now moving on to 6A1, Lariana Plaza MUPD initiation.
Good afternoon. Thank you for, I know it's been a long morning and afternoon. We're glad to be here. Thank you again. So my name is Josh Nichols with Schmidt Nichols, representing the Lorena MUPD. I also have with me co-applicant George Gentile, and I'll kind of get into his role in the project. But I think I can keep this pretty short because we've had some changes recently, and we submitted a letter as of Monday morning that we were removing the commercial medical office component of this, so that streamlines a lot of what we're asking for in the initiation. So again, as the last couple were transmittal, that's probably step one. We're at step 0, which is initiation of just text. But let's walk through that. So again, this is text language versus site specific. So I don't want to really weigh in. Oh, this is the old, that's not good. I think I have an old version of this, but anyways, I'll go through it. So the CLO and AGR on the south piece, where the medical was going to go, is no longer part of the request for the amendments that are needed. So the total is 6.33 acres. The half, which is the north portion, which is the proposed tractor supply, is about 3.63 acres. And we are asking for a few requests here, and again, some of which will go away with the commercial removal. So the first one was the commercial location criteria. So because this was not in the 2 nodes of Lyons and Atlantic or Boynton and Lyons, we did have to ask for this request. This request is no longer needed, as I mentioned, because the medical office is removed. So that goes away. In speaking with staff, request number 2 was the commercial cap increase, and because we did have the office in there, that was being exempted from the commercial cap along with the ag sales and service. So that still remains in there for the commercial cap just for the ag sales and service now. So we would have to push that one forward. That one comes with us. Again, this one was a request for MUPD to be consistent with the SA land use that we would be requesting. Actually, tomorrow we submit for that large-scale land use application. We no longer need that because we don't need to rezone the property. We're staying as AGR, and all we're doing is adding special agriculture to the land use side. So it's AGR with SA and Ag Reserve underlying. And finally, request 4, this was specific detailed inclusions to the special agriculture section in ag sales and service, just to add some additional details so that when we go to the zoning side to amend that text, that this is set up in the comp plan side. So really, we only have, again, 2 requests moving forward for the text amendment. Again, this is more for the tractor supply piece of it. Again, the commercial medical is removed, but there's about 1,000 acres of property that are within the 1 mile vicinity that would likely utilize tractor service or tractor supplies, goods and services. This is where this all kind of came from, was discussion back in 2020 where Miami-Dade County actually adopted an ordinance that talked about specific updates to their sale of farm supplies and farm machinery and implements. And this language included some detail about how much of the floor space would be utilized for farm equipment and ag sales versus some ancillary retail products. So we kind of use that as a jumping off point, and we'll be using that as we go through the text amendments on the zoning side. So again, down the road a little bit, but wanted to tell you where this came from. And again, this is used when there was some of the folks in opposition that we had at Planning Commission were talking about this as a stepping stone to have a Walmart or a Target come in and try to utilize this ag sales and service. I think text like this, language like this will help to reduce that because it is very specific to ag sales and service products. This is the current ULDC language. I won't go into that
Mr.
much.
Nichols, when you say products, can you give us an example of what might these 5% of sales of footwear and whatever? Can you give us a
Well, I'm
more
glad
of
you
a
asked.
description?
Yes. So I went to their facility in Riviera Beach on Military Trail that opened recently. So again, while they do have some clothing items, for instance, so you'll see on this picture, overalls, you have some safety equipment, gloves, boots, snow boots and probably not snow boots, mud boots. So you have a variety of clothing material, again, all for folks that live in the agriculture areas. Again, going into, you see in the pictures, cattle, poultry, livestock feed, so that they have medicines there for livestock. So those are just some of the examples there. We go to some of the tractor parts. They actually have, which I always go to, they sell bull rings. I don't know that you find a bull ring at a Target or a Walmart, but you can also see some of the trailer parts, all the accessories for trailers and tractors. Trailer tires and wheels, and also the vats that you see, those are actually hydraulic fluid for tractors. So very specific to the community.
Hold on one second. Commissioner Flores.
I'll let him finish.
Okay, go right ahead.
Yep, and again, just going through, just giving you examples of what they have in their product line. Again, chain and other trailer implements, fencing, gates, and other tractor implements that they have outside, some mowers and other small equipment. You see troughs, feeding troughs, telephone poles. They also have it's cracked corn. They also have some other fence posting, other farm implements, and chicken coops and chicken feed, and they also sell egg incubators. So egg incubators, yep. So very specific to, again, the needs of the Ag Reserve folks. So, and again, this is the Red Barn in Loxahatchee, and again, some of the things that they sell it's a variety store as well, but the majority of it is for those folks, goods and services.
Majority is different than 25%.
And we will comply with that. Actually, that code from Miami-Dade was written specifically for Tractor Supply use coming into their jurisdiction. So with that, I just want to reiterate, this is initiation only of the text so that we can move to submit for our comp plan amendment tomorrow. Appreciate it.
Okay, we have Commissioner Flores has his light on, and we have 3 cards.
So this question is to staff. Based on the changes that they're recommending,
We need a staff presentation.
we are doing a staff presentation? Okay. I guess my question is, can you answer, would your staff recommendation change based on the changes that they are recommending? No.
Okay. Good afternoon. Travis Goodson with the Planning Division. So we'll run through this briefly. This is, again, a private-initiated text amendment to the comprehensive plan. And so all text amendments to the comp plan require this initiation by the Board of County Commissioners for you to evaluate the proposed ideas and have staff give you an idea of the potential policy implications before you make a decision that, yes, we want to go ahead with this and have a full application submitted by the applicant. So initiation of this item does not indicate your support or staff support for the item. It's a green light, go ahead for diving into the policy changes a little bit more. We had a really thorough discussion this morning on the Ag Reserve, so I'll just mention it's within the Ag Reserve. So as Josh mentioned, this is on the west side of State Road 7, about a half mile south of Atlantic Avenue. When this site originally, when the text amendment request originally came in, the applicant was proposing what you see here, the entire 6.33 acres with special agriculture on the north parcel for a tractor supply, commercial low office on the south parcel for a medical dental office, and as Mr. Nichols had confirmed, the applicant has withdrawn that part of the request. So now, and I think I had animation on there. Yeah, so we'll be the request for initiation is on the approximately 3.61 acre north parcel for which the applicant's requesting special agriculture land use designation in order to develop a tractor supply. This will require text amendments to the comprehensive plan, and it will also require revisions to the Unified Land Development Code with regard to agricultural sales and service use. And so if the board initiates this item, then we will, the applicant will submit again tomorrow for the land use application, and a full staff report and presentation will be done in a subsequent round later in this year. A quick recap, commercial policies within the Ag Reserve are designed to focus non-residential development interior to the tier and limit commercial square footage, that cap. Currently, there's 10,227 square feet remaining in that cap. And the policies also limit the extent and locations of these commercial type uses. So as a result, the text amendment is proposing to exempt the approximately 23,500 square feet of tractor supply use from this commercial cap. Within the special agriculture FLU designation, it's limited by the comp plan to agricultural related services restricted solely to agricultural activities, and does not have the locational criteria that typical commercial land uses would have. And so it means that any parcel of land in the urban, suburban, exurban, or rural tier can come in and request special agriculture, and then any of the uses that are allowed in SA can go into SA. Again, the applicant would require the ULDC revisions in order to broaden the scope and nature of the agricultural sales and service use as it is currently defined and outlined in the ULDC in order to accommodate the tractor supply. And so staff's assessment is the text amendment is not consistent with the policy concepts of the tier, particularly as the proposed square footage exceeds the established commercial cap. And the applicant is requesting the SA FLU in conjunction with ULDC revisions in order to broaden the scope of ag sales and service and accommodate a tractor supply store, which has a general retail component that does not only sell items that are specific to agriculture and agriculture activities. And unlike the commercial land use designation, there's no location criteria for SA, so there's a possibility that it could skirt the commercial location criteria adopted by the board into the comp plan for not only the Ag Reserve tier, but other tiers as well. And then again, it requires the ULDC changes to implement this text amendment to the plan. And so staff is recommending not to initiate. The Planning Commission denied initiation 6-2, and a recommended motion would be to deny initiation. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores, does that answer your question?
It does. However,
It does, but it doesn't.
so I think the biggest sticking point here is the square footage, because only 10,000 remaining, but they're asking for 22,000. Is that right? I'm struggling with that. But the other component of this, if Tractor Supplies doesn't belong here, where does it belong? I understand they have general retail, but most stores end up, even if they specialize, like a AutoZone, still sells general stuff. Your average person isn't going to AutoZone to buy general stuff. They go there because they're going to pick up whatever they need to fix their car, and then they'll pick up a couple of extra things just because it's convenient. So I don't know that the general retail side of the house is going to create more traffic or more stops there. So that's where I'm sort of stuck at is If that Tractor Supply doesn't belong there, then where does it belong?
Staff's not saying that Tractor Supply doesn't belong here. That's not what we're saying at all. We're saying the method to go about getting a Tractor Supply store at this location is the implication that we're concerned about.
Commissioner Sachs, your light is on.
I'm perplexed. Yeah, I'm perplexed, really. I live on 5 acres in Horseshoe Acres, about a couple of, maybe a half a mile from this place. I need Tractor Supply place. I need a feed store. I need a red barn instead of going up to Loxahatchee, close to my house. The only reason I'd like to see tractor repair, and I've spoken to you about this before, tractor repair plus the Tractor Supply. And when I go in there to get feed, I sure would maybe pick up a pair of boots. You know.
Snow boots?
No shoes. No, that's at the supply place on by the turnpike. What I don't understand is this, staff. You just approved to have initiation of warehouse distribution processing, and I'm taking it right off of there. And yet for, I didn't hear anything about any fruits or vegetables that were going to be processed there, or that were going to be refrigerated there, or was going to be distributed there. I don't know still, as I sit here, what's going to go in those storage units. I did not hear that it was going to be agricultural. Now we have a possibility of having a Tractor Supply store on 441. Not Atlantic Avenue, but 441. I think it's a damn good idea, and I need it. And so do all the farmers and ranchers who live in the area of where this place is going to be. So I'm sorry, I'm not that bright. Would you tell me why you are denying initiation? Is that because there's boots and socks and gloves in there too? What's the issue here?
Yeah, no, it's not at all because of that. With the warehouse use that you just opined on earlier, that met the comprehensive plan.
Look, just tell me why, because you talk in technical words. I'm just a little lawyer. Just give me, why is it I can't have a Tractor Supply in the Ag Reserve, but I can have a warehouse distribution center?
Yeah, Commissioner Sachs.
Yes,
so
sir.
It's
Thank
mainly
you.
because of the snow boots.
The snow boots, I knew it. I knew it.
So I think that planning staff is concerned about the approach. So there's a fundamental policy issue because right now the request is not allowed per policy. So if the board's direction is to allow this more or less, in our opinion, commercial type use, we wouldn't see it as special ag necessarily. So I think if the board wanted to proceed in that direction, we would recommend perhaps a commercial low designation. And with that, it's almost a truth in advertising where everyone is aware what this specifically is. And it's not only being pigeonholed into this special ag designation that doesn't have the same restrictions that a commercial low designation would have within the ag reserve area.
So he needs to refine it so that it has the right designation to have a Tractor Supply in the Ag Reserve. Lisa's shaking her head. Mayor, can I ask Lisa to opine on this? Is that okay?
Absolutely, because I think we're all a little confused. Because really what we're trying to find out is how does a Tractor Supply go on this property legitimately? I think that's the question. Is that the question?
That is, yeah, basically.
If you
In
all
those
love
boots.
Tractor Supply as much as I do, you would think that this might be an appropriate location for a Tractor Supply. The devil's in the details, though, and having it in special agriculture means that any property on any road could come in and also ask for a Tractor Supply. The other thing is we can't make a land use or zoning district consistent to one store. So whether it is commercial low, which I think is the appropriate future land use designation, or if it's SA, if that's the pleasure of the board, it would also allow Ace Hardware and True Value, because there's just no way to, we just can't. I mean, I'm looking at Darren, I don't think we can make a custom future land use or zoning approval for a single business. We can't even do it for Chick-fil-A, as much as we like Chick-fil-A. So if the board likes this location, it's appropriate to direct staff to look at the code amendments, the plan amendments that would be necessary to allow additional commercial at this location and modify the cap as needed. Or we talked earlier about revisiting the commercial cap and the methodology for which we track it. That's another thing that we could do through the review of this as well. But any road can come in and ask for SA future land use designation and do this type of use anywhere. If that's the door you would open if you go this SA route.
Well, I think, and thank you, Mayor, you had a good point. If we can't put a Tractor Supply and feed store, do you know how many horses and animals are within 5 miles of a proposed feed store? I mean, I'd say hundreds, maybe there's more. So yes, we need a feed store, and we need a Tractor Supply, we need a tractor repair. And if I want to go in and get a pair of boots on the way there, like Commissioner Flores does at AutoZone, then, that's but it's not, it's not a Target or something. So if we need to change, so I think like your hands are tied in the staff here. If we need to change something, then what is it that we can do to change it so that we can allow uses for agricultural and equestrian residents of the Ag Reserve? And that's all I got to say, because otherwise I don't, and I agree with you, Mayor.
I think the problem is the SA flu. Because if we allow this using that, it can go on any property, anywhere, and skirt commercial. I think that, and sorry, when you guys were in my office, you never said anything about that. It wasn't until I talked to staff yesterday about the SA flu. So and that really got my back up, because this opens the door to a lot more development on any piece of property, period, end of story. So while I believe that there is a need for this, especially in the Ag Reserve, we've got to figure out what the right designation is that doesn't open the floodgates for people putting this kind of property anywhere they feel like in the county. Urban, suburban, it doesn't make any difference. This needs careful consideration, and and I apologize, because I supported this, but I don't support opening the door to having SA anywhere in the county. I don't support that. But if we can figure out, and there are more lights on, so I'm sure everyone else is going to opine. And I know this is another one of those, this property owner has come to us a multitude of times with a multitude of things. I mean, no one is going to build one house on this property. It's very simple. No one's going to do that. So there has to be some allowable use on this property and the correct designation for that property. That's where we are today. So I'll stop for a second. Commissioner Woodward, your light was on, and then Flores, and then Commissioner Wise.
Thank you, Mayor. So do we have this SA flu anywhere in the county right now?
I'm glad you asked that question. Let's see, I'm trying to find the right presentation. Peter Gay, can you go to slide, let's see, slide 22, please? So right now, there's only 2 sites. This is one. It formerly had an ag sales and service use. So it's 4.5 acres. It's located in the Ag Reserve. It's on the west side of State Road 7, south of Flavor Picked Road. The other site, go to the next slide, please. Oh, sorry, I have the control. Is for a 2-acre site south of Bethesda West Hospital. So these are the only 2 SA locations in the whole county.
And how did those designations come to be? What's supposed to be there? Nothing's there right now.
They had pre-existing ag sales and service uses, so they received the SA flu during the 1989 comp plan.
Both of these?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess I share my confusion, or our confusion with this, because I guess I don't understand why allowing this to be built, if we use this SA designation, that suddenly the whole county is open, anybody can put anything anywhere. I mean, it's kind of like, why would this designation ever exist? This is like the skeleton key to the world. So I'm confused on how this could even be a thing.
Because commercial land use in the county is very strictly regulated. In the ag reserve, it has location criteria and it has a commercial cap. In the ex-urban and rural tiers, it has location criteria, and even in the urban suburban tier, it has location criteria. Commercial land use can only go at intersections, basically, and only large intersections, or commercial land use can only go where it's contiguous with another non-residential development. So that means when, in particularly the rural and ex-urban tier, there was a big thing in the 90s not to allow mid-block commercial. That's what started kind of like, so much emphasis in the county has gone into citing commercial land uses because, in the 50s, there was strip commercial development where like all of Dixie Highway, all the way from Miami-Dade to Vero is commercial. So we've got these commercial policies that say you can only do commercial at these finite locations. So to take an agricultural land use designation and to put what Loxahatchee Groves and Riviera Beach called commercial retail, and for us as unincorporated to call it an agricultural use with no commercial location criteria, we are setting the stage for other properties along Southern Boulevard, Seminole, Pratt Whitney, Indiantown, and anywhere inside the urban suburban tier to ask for a Tractor Supply / Ace Hardware / True Value under the guise of calling it agriculture. If the board really loves this and wants to consider an agricultural use, it's not something that has a property appraiser ag classification, but maybe develop location criteria where it would be appropriate. Now, in this particular location, is it adjacent to industrial? Sure, if you want to do something pretty intense next to industrial at this location, it would make perfect sense. But if you want to assemble 3 properties in the acreage and assemble, 5-6 acres and ask for a SA Flu to do a Tractor Supply, staff, you wouldn't get an initiation opportunity like this. Staff would just submit the application and then the board would see it. You wouldn't see it till the transmittal hearing. Because again, SA has no location criteria like commercial does. It's just commercial has been extremely tightly regulated in the county, and SA has not been used. We stopped using it. The reason that Yee has it is because it was legitimate tractor repair. It wasn't a Tractor Supply, it wasn't a feed store. They repaired tractors on that property right there. The other one that had a feed store a long time ago, and a feed store is a typical warehouse with no air conditioner, and there's bunches of stacks of, feed, and that's what the other one had. So that's our precedent for what we have done with special agriculture in the past. We didn't even allow, unfortunately, Helena Chemical wasn't allowed to get this ag sales and service, which was unfortunate back in the day, but it is what it is. And they do propane and some kind of chemical thing that farmers use. They weren't even allowed to get ag sales and service. So I hope that provides some sort of background on, this type of use for us is retail. I know, this is a tough one. Commissioner Flores.
All right, here we go. Tractor Supply is for tractors, right?
Actually, Tractor Supply is a retail store geared toward recreational hobby farmers. It doesn't actually sell tractors itself.
For tractors, right?
It doesn't sell tractors.
But supplies for the tractors, correct? For you to be able to repair them?
For hobby farmers, perhaps, but it's not Everglades Farm Equipment that is geared toward commercial operations.
Okay. And they do sell feed?
They sell feed.
Yeah. That's very different than Ace Hardware Store, where you buy nails and stuff like that. Does Ace Hardware also sell feed and tractor supplies?
They can nationally. Agway, True Value Hardware, and Ace Hardware throughout the country are a similar hardware store / feed supplies, fencing, garden equipment, chemicals. Tractor Supply is a hobbyist store. It is a wonderful store. It sells pet food, clothing, it sells baby chicks. It sells wonderful things, but it is not geared toward a commercial farming operation. It is geared towards a hobbyist. It'll say right on their website. And it is located in retail plazas throughout the country. We initially started getting asked in 2019, and we did research since 2019 throughout the country. Tractor Supply is located in retail plazas, and it is a lovely store. Love it to bits.
Okay. I'll stop right there.
Commissioner Weiss.
I'm flummoxed. Flummoxed.
He's flummoxed.
I mean, you can't go to Target and get coveralls. You have to go to a Tractor Supply. So.
It's late in the day.
Anyways. I don't want to know how he knows. I guess my question is, I think, and I'm hearing from my colleagues, and this is, I think we all believe that this type of store, what the products that they offer, blend very well into the Ag Reserve. We have lots of property owners out there that have 5, 10 acres. If you want to call them hobby farms or, small family farms, that we've got we have a lot of property owners out there like that would benefit from having a store like this. So this has been bouncing around for us for a while. I know they've looked at trying to do it a couple different ways. My question to you today really is just, how do we get this thing done? How do we get it done quickly? I'd like to see, we're all here today. Can we just figure out a way to get this done and move this thing on so that we can just put this in the rearview mirror?
Yeah, so our recommendation would be that commercial low land use designation, requiring text amendments to the plan to address the commercial cap and location criteria.
As it relates to commercial cap, although we have granted the commercial cap, we have not, it hasn't been built. It doesn't seem right that we have to raise it because many of these things it's never going to happen in our lifetime or in the lifetime of our children, their children.
I think your direction, this is just initiation. Based on the conversation that we had before and that spreadsheet we had on the slide, you could direct staff to address how we've been tabulating the commercial cap and come back when we have the transmittal on either increasing it or figuring out a new way to tabulate it, because you had a lot of good conversation this morning on we just have numbers that we're tabulating that are never going to get built, so we can revisit how we tabulate it.
Okay, so I'd like to give that direction. I'd like to give direction to whatever we can do to just get this moved, and it would be beneficial to the folks that live out there and in the surrounding areas as well.
Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question is for Mr. Nichols. Is that okay? Thank you. Mr. Nichols, are you averse to considering commercial low?
I'm not averse to considering commercial low. Our only hesitation was that it presented more roadblocks because we were now creating nodes of commercial outside of the Atlantic and Lyons and the Boynton and Lyons, so we didn't want to go down that path. So we've been working, this has been years in the making. We didn't dream this up yesterday. So we've been going down a path, getting advice, going with working with staff very closely. I think Tractor Supply has been looking all down this corridor, trying to find a spot. We're happy to go with whichever way it needs to happen. So if that's our avenue, absolutely.
Thank you. And as a follow-up, as a planner, I know staff has done a lot of research on this particular project. I know you've done a lot of research on this project. I respect staff's outlook, and I think it's well-intentioned to observe that, and this is, this is what we do. As planners, you have to do a lot of research and finding out information and digging and seeing how other municipalities and other areas consider certain uses. And in this case, the idea of Tractor Supply and what it is on its face, we've had the conversation that it sounds, it's Tractor Supply, right? But when you look at all of these different uses, it would be identified as a retail use because of what is the business that takes place there. So if you are amenable to that, that would be the use of commercial load would be something that I would be more likely to support. Not to say I won't support the text amendment. I'm not saying yes or no, but I think I'm more amenable to what staff has done the research, looked into, and in terms of moving forward and making us more comfortable with what we can live with here in Palm Beach County. It kind of makes more sense because they deal with this on a daily basis. So that's my input. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder, we do have 3 cards, but I did have a question. If we were to take your recommendation to change this to commercial low and all the steps that would have to happen, in regards to the 75% that Miami-Dade did, where it was 75% of this sales and 25% general retail, would that be a part of this condition? Or
So that wouldn't be necessary then? Because that was part of the code amendments that the applicant was proposing for ag sales and service under the special ag future land use designation.
Okay.
That could be another unintended consequence, though, of going commercial low, is if it's considered retail, it could be anything.
Well, that's why I was can we put that condition on this?
This would require location criteria to the commercial location in the ag reserve. So I don't see why language couldn't be drafted in the commercial location criteria to limit it to ag-centric uses or that type of thing, and prohibit drive-through. You're going to want to prohibit gas station. The challenge with commercial low is that commercial low is, you don't want it everything. So rather than taking ag sales and service and SA and limiting it to expand that to retail, you could take the commercial low at this location in the comp plan and narrow that down, not to just any commercial, but have some limited to clearly ag-related type of operation with no drive-through, no fast food, no that kind of thing.
To be clear, the drive-through, because as I understand the feed area, trucks will drive through to pick up feed. We're talking about drive-through food for humans, right?
I mean Taco Bell, not the drive-through feed.
Okay. So, and would you be open to that condition?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we do have 3 cards, but I would like to add that condition to this process.
And I think it's important to do that because if in 10 years they decide they don't want to be tractor trailer, or tractor supply, they just want to become commercial in an area that doesn't want them as commercial. We, as a board, have to be responsible and put whatever protections we can in place to make sure that the intent that we are putting on this property is the intent that goes forward. Commissioner Sachs.
I think that we all have it right. We want to have an ag use in the ag reserve. We want to know how to get there. What we don't want probably is to have it, shall we say, 75% retail and 25% feed.
Correct.
And a couple of parts for a tractor, like tires and stuff like that. You want it 85% tractor supply and maybe 25% retail. Otherwise, you're getting a small store or maybe a large store with a couple of tractor tires in the back, which is not, and I think that's what you were talking about. So Kenry and I'm really echoing what the mayor said, and Commissioner Weiss and Commissioner Woodward, is how do we get there? How do we get there? Because that looks like part of Target or something. And I never like the idea of feed so close to retail, because feed has its own, guests that come in uninvited. So we need to make sure that this is really for the farmers, the ranchers, and less for the shoppers. So I'm going to leave that up to you. I think we're all in the same agreement on that. I think so.
All right,
Thank you.
do we have 3 cards? Why don't you go ahead and call those up?
We do. Linda Smith, Dr. Lori Vinecourt, and Dagmar Braz.
I don't know why I'm first all the time. Linda Smith, this whole thing changed around for me today too. It changed around for you guys. I guess we would support a Tractor Supply, but the questions that came up are very pointed and accurate. What happens if Tractor Supply goes away? Then what happens? So this all needs to be kind of reworked, and that's part of my questions. Will this be going back to the Planning Commission at this point? Are they going to get to hear it again, because they did deny it, but of course it's completely changed now. I think the staff and the commissioners are right on, concerned about opening the door to other sites, because the Ag Reserve has opened so many doors for other sites and properties with unintended consequences. So, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Lori Vinecourt, 10626 La Reina Road, Delray Beach, Florida, and I am the president of the Alliance of Delray, and I also own the property immediately adjacent to this Tractor Supply application. Tractor Supply, which sells rocking chairs, gas grills, metal and wood patio benches, home decor and furniture, sporting goods, and it even has a holiday shop. I just found out a few minutes ago that they completely changed the application. I wasn't told about that. I am the adjacent landowner. And I've been sitting up there all day, and I know everybody there from the applicant. Nobody told me, hey, we changed it. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad if, I don't know. It's a completely different application. My president is actually at his son's graduation ceremony, the president of Tierra del Rey. Nobody there found out about it either. So this is a completely different application. One thing that really impacts this as well is the fact that those 2 parcels are owned by one person, and this Tractor Supply application has the only entrance and exit onto 4041 that will be allowed. So they were going to work together to use the one entrance and have a agreement. Now it's going to be left with a property south of it that's landlocked, does not have any entrance onto 441 by itself. What are we going to do about that? They can't use La Reina Road because that's an easement. It would be off of 441. The association and I are not against, we're not NIMBYs. They gave you a site plan, showed how a residential community could definitely be a part of it by using that acreage, and we are very concerned about what's south of La Reina Road. There are about 14 acres there, and currently there's huge fines on the property because of code enforcement, but that owner also wants to do something there, so this will impact that. Maybe it was a year and a half ago, the staff can tell you that south of Rio Grande Avenue was the line in the sand for the residential south of that. So we're opposed to it. Please deny this application, or I don't know what else you could do, because maybe tell them to put the application for just this property. Right now, the application we saw was for those 2 properties together. It's a completely different application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more time, guys. Hi, my name is Dagmar. This is in Lori's area. You know, it's like the line in the stand. We first started with the post office that is off of Atlantic Avenue west of 441. Then they decided, well, you know, there's that corner, it's a major intersection, let's put a gas station there. And then they said, well, we're going to draw the line in the sand at Rio Grande Avenue. No more doing anything south of that. Then Sunflower came in and said, oh, you know, the rules have changed. We're not allowed to have a landscape maintenance unless we get an industrial designation. So we moved that line a little bit further. So now we have a Tractor Supply coming in, and so we're going to move that line a little bit further. And as Lori just told you, there's somebody with 14 acres right there with code issues, and that's what's next, guys. How do we keep going down 441 and allowing all these different uses? My big concern, and that is of Cobra as well, is that we really liked sticking with the location criteria for commercial, and we really want to hold on to that commercial cap. The ideas that came out of Miss Amara, and I trust her 1,000%. I think she's a brilliant woman, but we're scared. We're scared of, you know, the property in front of Bethesda coming in with that SA use. They didn't want to sell up to Bethesda, oh, I have a minute and a half, wow. Anyway, we're scared, we're nervous. We want to make sure the commercial cap stays in place, but we do have faith that something, and a Tractor Supply would not be the worst use. But again, don't open that door and mess more stuff up. Thank you.
Commissioner Sachs, are you ready, or would you like Commissioner Woodward to go? Or do you even have a comment? Oh, Commissioner Woodward.
I did have a question about there were two parcels that were a part of this original application, and now it's just the one, which is the north parcel. Does the south parcel not have access without the north?
Commissioner Woodward, if I can, Mayor.
Please.
We brought this in as one parcel. We were going to do an MUPD on it. That was what we've been moving towards, so that we had two uses on it. The medical office, which originally, when we brought this project to you all, previously, a year ago, that was one of the uses that we heard was acceptable, possibly there. That has changed. So as we went through this and got close to this date, we decided we would take that medical office out and stay with whatever the ag designation allows on that property with the Tractor Supply. It could be a agricultural service facility, it could be a nursery, it could be whatever's allowed. My client decided that he would do that. We would still continue to go. The reason to put the parcels together is two reasons. One is, my client owns the Lorena Road property. It's an easement in favor of the residents to use that behind us to get in there. We've been trying very hard not to impact the residents and keep the access off. So we will continue to stay with the two parcels as one with a joint access, because we think that that's appropriate for the residents. We pulled the medical office so that there wasn't any further issue with that. My clients resolved themselves to deal with it. So whatever way the staff wants us to try to get this done, we think we should do it. Your SA is consistent with all your zoning categories, including the ag reserve, but if you decide to go commercial low and that's the best, we're gonna work out whatever we need to work out. And that's why we did what we did.
Okay, well, if I could, just for myself, I would not want to go anywhere near this SA. You've put the proper fear into me to not put something like that out into this county. So if you could maybe readdress how we need to go about doing this without using the SA.
Yes, so the applicant would apply for the commercial low future land use designation in conjunction with text amendments to the comprehensive plan to address the commercial cap and also the commercial location criteria in the ag reserve.
Okay, and is that something that we can do from this point, or to address the earlier, does that need to go back to Planning Commission, or we can do that from here?
You can make that direction now. When they submit for tomorrow, they'll have to, make some tweaks. And then this would come back again, Planning Commission, PCC transmittal, and adoption. So this is the very beginning part of that process.
Okay, well, I would make the motion
Do
to,
we need a motion or is it direction?
So I think it would be a motion to initiate with utilizing that commercial load designation and necessary comp plan text amendments.
what she said.
Commissioner
And
Flores.
let's not forget about the conditions that were outlined
Oh,
previously.
yes, with the 75%, and remind me the other.
No drive-through.
Yeah, no drive-through.
No
Chick-
Chick-fil-A.
No problem.
Okay,
No problem.
Yeah, but overalls.
but you can't have overalls and snow boots.
Can we have snow boots?
And snow boots. I'll buy those. Do you understand what we're doing here today?
Yes, we do. We are going to be working all night to get the application in the morning. Small tweaks. But we did already have the commercial low language because the medical office was being done under commercial low. So we just need to tweak that with conditions and deal with, and we'll work with staff.
Yep.
We appreciate you initiating so that we can get going on this.
And do you understand our apprehension for the SA flu?
I do.
I did have, I just wanted to, one quick comment on that. So the SA is special agricultural land use, right? The only consistent zonings are AR, which is agricultural residential, ag reserve, and ag production. Those are the only three. So I don't know if having that allowed in areas that would make sense for special agriculture is a bad thing, that those three zonings are very consistent with where the SA would go. It's not like it would pop up in the middle of, a Belvedere and Jog, right? So I'm not sure that because we've been going along this path with the SA that we would be agricultural sales and service, or agricultural. So I'm not understanding, because I don't know what we would be hurting by AR, AGR, and AP out there as a consistent zoning. I'm happy to change, but I don't know what we're opening.
Madam Mayor?
Commissioner Powell.
I got a question, though, because I think we're a little bit stuck on, you would consider it agriculture sales and service, and this is what would be under revised policy 1.5N. And the discrepancy is, while you're considering it agriculture sales and service, and maybe I'm wrong, staff, the interpretation would not be that this would be considered agriculture sales and service, it would be considered retail. So being that this particular use would be considered retail, you would have and just, y'all let me know if I'm wrong, right? You would change the text to allow agriculture sales and service, and then the interpretation from staff would then be determined that you're looking at general retail, which would mean that we've changed the text to allow you to do something that you can't particularly do. Am I wrong?
We just felt that we fit under this is the definition in the ULDC for ag sales and service. So an establishment primarily engaged in the sale or rental of farm tools, small implements, and farming equipment such as pickers and mowers, sale of livestock, feed, grain, tack, riding attire, animal care products, farm supplies, and the like. I feel like we fit into that very closely. That's why we've been going down
And
that
the
path.
zoning director does not feel that you fit into that, and neither did John McGillis in 2019 when Joni Brinkman tried to use this for Tractor Supply. Take the win, Josh.
I just want to make sure that we don't hurt anything moving forward with the CL. So if everyone's good.
So
Sure.
my thought process would be you would, and this is what would happen, right? And tell me if I'm wrong again. So you would change the text for an amendment. Now you would have to get an interpretation from the zoning director through a zoning confirmation letter, right? And it would, for your use. Am I wrong? Because I might be going down a whole nother.
They were proposing ULDC amendments because this doesn't fit ag sales and service. So they were doing this text amendment to the plan and then a separate ULDC amendment, and it's just been very complicated trying to fit a retail store into agriculture. Even for Bednar's Farmers Market, that also have special language in the code to allow that farm market. And Tractor Supply is much more intense than Bednar's, and Bednar's has a whole page and a half to allow that ag marketplace. So, you know, in staff's opinion, is retail, commercial low, with parameters narrowly crafted in the plan on what those uses are allowed, is a better fit.
We'll work with them on that.
Yeah, that's,
Thank you. I think, Mr. Nichols, the board wants to help and wants to work with you and understands where staff is coming from. So, I mean, I think it's I'm speaking for everybody, but I shouldn't be, but I believe it's the intent to figure out how to get there, because I think this is something that can be worked on. And so I believe that's where we're going. I want to thank staff for your input, and I want to thank you for being amenable and helpful and understanding.
thank you.
Commissioner Flores.
I was just going to repeat the great Commissioner Sachs. Be short, be brilliant,
Be brief, be brilliant, and be gone.
be gone. And that's where you needed to be at 10 minutes ago. Take the win, Josh. Take the win. It's very seldom that this board agrees on anything. And we just did. So I would like to make the motion with all of the conditions that we move. Did we already make the motion? I'll second that motion then. And let's move this forward.
Commissioner Sachs, your light is on. Anything you'd like to add? Just
I'm
a
just
yes?
going to be gone. But I just want to say, y'all do a good job because you're following the code, the law. We got to change this, because if we have this much discussion over Tractor Supply, and we had all that discussion on a commercial, tractors, trailers, and a warehouse distribution, we got a problem here. So down the road, we need to take a look at this. That's what we discussed this morning on the Ag Reserve, because this doesn't make any sense. And I just want to make sure we got all good feed in there for horses as well as for chickens. All right. But I think we're all set, so I'm going to be gone. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Well, I just want to make staff, you understand what the motion's requiring, and you've got all the details, right?
Very clear, thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Does the clerk understand the motion? Okay. So the clerk understands, the staff understands. All in favor? All opposed? See that that motion carries 6-0. Thank you, staff. It's a heavy lift. Thank you. You understand? Good, perfect.
Thank you.
Be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. Love that expression, Commissioner Sachs. Okay, we are now on to 6B1, which is a little bit of housekeeping.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. As you mentioned, this is a housekeeping item. This is required by Florida statutes, ensuring that the water supply facilities work plan by the Water Utility District is compliant and updated concurrently with the South Florida Water Management District Lower East Coast Water Supply Plan. So South Florida Water Management District adopted their plan on September 24th of last year. So we have until March 24th of 2026 to adopt and implement our plan within the comprehensive plan by reference. So Water Utility District is currently working on that with a consultant, so we're ahead of the game. And we are requesting that the board initiate that amendment at this time.
Okay. So staff is looking for a motion to initiate the water supply facilities work plan text amendment. Okay, we have got a motion and a second. You got that? All in favor? All opposed? See that that motion carries 6-0. We are now on to other planning items, which would be an amendment to declaration of restricted covenants, and staff is looking for a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to execute the waiver of right of first refusal and notice of pending foreclosure for Pine Ridge. This is in Commissioner Weiss's district. Any comments, Commissioner Weiss? Would you like a staff presentation?
I'd like a very thorough staff presentation at this point.
Wait, we need
No,
quorum.
thank you. No, thank you. No, I would go ahead, if nobody minds, I will go ahead and make the motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? See that that motion also carries 6-0. We're now on to the last bit of business. Any comments from the Assistant County Attorney?
No.
Planning.
Just quick,
Just a quick update on the annexation. So there's no status on the feasibility study for the Boynton Beach annexation for the members of the public who wants to keep track of that.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores. Okay, we're not there yet. Zoning. No comment. Executive Director.
Oh, just thank you to staff for all of the hard work that went into today. A lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that you all appreciate so much, and we appreciate that you recognize that always, and thank you.
Deputy County Administrator.
No comment.
It sounds like we don't have any board direction at the moment because we had plenty of direction today. Board direction, Commissioner Flores.
Yes, I sent out a memo about the interim. I spoke to the county administrator today. She is looking for us to give her direction to put the interim names before us so that we can discuss at the workshop. So I'm asking for direction to give to the county administrator to present to us options so that we can discuss at the March 20th workshop. May, sorry, I said March.
Yeah, March
May
is
20th. Yeah,
yes.
I'm sorry.
I don't see any objection from any of our board members, so let that be noted for the record. Okay, commissioner comments. Commissioner Powell, why don't you go ahead and start?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank the board for bearing with me today. Of course, a very important day. Had to be at a graduation, so I want to thank y'all for, allowing me some grace there. Thank staff for your hard work and dedication to this process. It can be challenging at times. And I want to thank the individuals who came, both industry as well as the community. That's how this works. The number one goal of a planner is to serve the public interest. My nephew Desmond Morris graduated today from high school, which is a big deal. I'm super proud of him. I just want to make sure I make it known and noted that congratulations, you graduated, and now it's on to college and a job. I also want to recognize and just take a brief moment to, I don't want to say a moment of silence, but a moment of recognition for the loss of Bishop Harold Calvin Ray. His services will take place this weekend. He is the pastor of Redemptive Life in West Palm Beach, one of the larger churches here. And also former Senator Matt Meadows passed away, and his services will be this weekend as well. So please keep those people's families in your prayers. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank our staff for their hard work, and I know, as was mentioned earlier, it is, a lot of it is done before it ever gets here. In fact, that's where most of the work is done, long before we ever see it. So thank you all, and really appreciate everybody's participation.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. And I meant to do it last week, but last week was a long meeting. I wanted to wish all of our mothers happy Mother's Day this past weekend. Hopefully it was lovely for you. And my own mother, because she does watch this, to keep in touch. Happy Mother's Day to you. And I just wanted to thank everyone. If you know, the little Paul missioner, my little Fritz, has been very, very ill and had to have a blood transfusion over the weekend, but he looks like he's on the mend, hopefully. So any of you that did know, thanks for reaching out. And a couple of animal rescues that love him very much reached out too. So hopefully you'll see him back at some point soon. But yeah, love my little buddy there. So thanks.
Commissioner Sachs.
Is this the little dog that hangs out with you in your office? Yes. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just very pleased with some of the decisions that we made today. I think they were arrived at with good analysis by staff and good discussion and opinions, respecting everybody's opinion. And I feel very good about it. And my daughter is about to have a baby, so it's kind of exciting. So if I have to leave, but we got gas in the cars, you got to get everything ready. Just packed a little suitcase up, and it's exciting. So Wish everybody to be safe this week.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores.
Yes, I don't know if you heard, Reverend Kevin Jones has been called to serve somewhere else outside of Florida. So he's actually moving. He's uprooting his life and going back to, I believe, South Carolina. But he's someone that has given a lot to this community, has given back, and has been a pillar in the community. I was hoping that we can recognize him perhaps at the March 20th, present him with certificate of appreciation. He has served on various boards throughout the years, but most recently the CJC board. So I just learned about this earlier. It was yesterday at the CJC board. So I guess I'm asking for permission to do a special presentation very briefly from this board at the workshop.
At the May workshop, May 20th.
Yeah, he's leaving May 31st.
I think the board would be okay with making that exception.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? That's it? I just want to say thank you. I think you've heard it from everyone, but today was a heavy lift, and thank you for sharing the history of the Ag Reserve again. The Ag Reserve is a heavy lift for all of us because there are only a few places in this county that there are opportunities for private development to really take place. I mean, when you look at the property up in the north end of the county, there's very few parcels of land that have any opportunity because it's mostly developed, even though part of it is also unincorporated in the north end. Boca is pretty much built out, so there's nothing that they can bring to the table. So it seems to be District 6 and District 5, which have a lot of those properties that are come before us, and that's the most difficult thing, is because there always seems to be some sort of regulation requirement, something attached to that property. So I thank the staff for always being very nimble and on the fly, because we up here, it's hard to negotiate from here. We shouldn't really be negotiating from up here. It should have already been done. But sometimes, as just occurred, in order to satisfy a need for the community, but also not have unintended consequences, we do need to be flexible. So I appreciate staff being flexible with us. And I appreciate the board today for the lively discussion and for the fact that, we really do, no matter what, really do try to do the best that we can. So I appreciate that. And with that, I'll say good night, and we're adjourned. Thank you very much.